live specifically in Tippecanoe County, but these other places are offering $5,000 sign-on bonus and things like that. I'm not gonna be able to do that. The council's not gonna even remotely go for that. I'm not sure if they're gonna bump our pay up so we don't lose people to Delphi and Florida. But that is the first thing that needs shored up in the jail. Because if we don't have jail officers to take care of the inmates, you're not gonna have road guys either. Because the road guys are gonna be in the jail doing what I did the other night. So, there is a plan, I do have a plan. That is the first thing that needs to happen, is get the staffing under control.
Thank you.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Yes, you may.
So this is really, and it's, I don't want it to come across in a negative way, but this is more for you, Tony. My understanding is that you were promoted into second command. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting for you to take office before we start?
Like I said in the beginning, I went into chief deputy because of one of the primary, so the sheriff said, we might as well bring you on board to start learning more sheriff things. I still have cases that I'm working. I'm a detective first. I have a high profile case that we're working hard on every day. I don't have any, I can make all kinds of suggestions and do those things. It's still out of my hands regardless. But I'm still primarily, my job duties are detective.
Can I add to that? I'll create a culture of excellence. Basically, people will want to work with me because that's what I have now. People want to work with me. So that's where I come in.
I've done that. Y'all just talked about all the guys that are backing me. I've created that culture for me. Well, again, I won't speak to current administration, but we have that culture. They want to work hard. They want to do that for me.
But shouldn't they want to do that for the citizens of the county?
Right, no, I 100% agree. But why can he say that, create a culture? I'm telling you, that culture's already there.
Yeah, but you said for you, so that's why I just wanted to make sure that people understand it's not about serving you, it's about
Right.
serving the community.
Mark said that he would create a culture around him, and I'm just saying, that culture is there.
I was addressing
Go.
Yeah, as previous chief deputy, I was not allowed to do anything out in that scope. And I was told when I was demoted that he would be doing those things. How come I was never given that opportunity to do those things? Because it gave a false impression that other people could. And Tony himself is still not doing those things. He's still going down to fan post and working that investigation. There was things going on during those times where they would have meetings in his office where the current sheriff was having meetings with him, preparing him before the primary was even done. And if anybody don't believe that, you got something wrong.
Mike, is there a question in there? Nope. Okay. Paul?
Do you gentlemen think that there's a pretty big turnout here tonight, that each person maybe ought to call their county councilman and call their commissioners and ask them to support the sheriff's department for, say, pay raises, body cams? You even talked a lot about body cams, but really, I don't think Tony could get much money for body cams. And I hardly ever get a call. I've got a couple calls this week as councilman saying, we need to raise money for the sheriff's department. Do you guys think we need to have all these people get on the phones and call their local person, whoever wins the race here? We need more money for the sheriff's department, right?
Your question is going to,
Both. I mean, Mark.
okay, Mark.
Again, Paul, that's communication. I don't know how the current administration is communicating with you guys and telling your needs.
They are.
That's just not the last week or 2 weeks or since this part of the campaign has begun. This is something that should have been done 8 years ago. There are things that could have been put in place so that this is an easy transition into body cameras that they've been in use for a number of years now, while they are not here. I don't understand that completely.
Well, the guy's talking, and he said no money. You said there's grants. There's grants to go, grants.
There are grants.
Why isn't somebody doing something about it? What is the hierarchy? Is it because the sheriff doesn't pass it down and say somebody needs to start working on this grant? I mean, I don't understand that. If it's a grant, you apply for it. If it's out there and you need them and it's not easy, you don't have to pay that grant to apply for it.
Right. I was asked, like I say,
And you may not know that answer.
in 2020, I was asked to look into get the quotes for it. Those things were submitted. I know there's grants out there. I don't know what he had looked into grant-wise, but I personally know there's grants out there to do that.
I don't know that this is a question, but more of a statement.
You must stand up. No can hear. Thank you so much.
Maybe this is more of a statement than a question, but obviously there is a need within your department, which in essence trickles back down to the citizens of Carroll County. Then my question is, why isn't the council members and the commissioners doing something about it? Because you guys hold the purse.
I think,
You do
I
something.
feel like
Okay,
you.
guys, this is a sheriff's debate.
But their money.
I know.
From them.
I know, I cover the meetings.
Hey Debbie, we have a question over here.
Where?
Right here.
Okay,
It's probably pretty much answered. My question was, it sounds like to me, I never realized there's only 2 officers on duty at a time. That's not enough for a whole county.
That's true.
You're working with a skeleton crew here. We need more. You have said, we are losing our officers to the other counties because we are not paying them enough. They are putting their lives on the line every day for us. What are you going to do to convince those councilmen? Sorry, people. They may have to raise taxes. That may be the only way to get that money, and I'm willing to pay for more protection.
I have to tell you, Carroll County is a levy-freeze county, and taxes can't go up much more. I'm just saying, I cover
Then-
council meeting. Yeah.
Okay. But we gotta figure out a way.
Well, there's economic
And that
development,
isn't
income tax
just,
money.
that isn't just on the police.
Yeah.
That's not, that's all of us. We all are responsible for this. And if they can't raise taxes anymore to help pay for you guys, what can you do? What can you come up with for us to help you? Grant writing. Does anybody in here know how to write grants?
Oh, okay, why don't you let them talk, yeah.
What could you do if we can't get more taxes because we can't lose any more policemen?
So-
What can you do to get us to help?
Just so we're clear, and I think you understand this, 2 people on a good night, if one of them takes a vacation day or is sick, we're down to 1 guy. During the day currently, the sheriff works, I work, and then you have 2 road guys. So I'm doing detective stuff and Toad's doing sheriff stuff, so you still have just 2 guys. But so right now, with the jail staff being short, we have to go do transports. So the guys are coming off the road to come to the jail to take guys to court, sitting in court and then coming back. I mean, it's critical. I spoke to a councilman today. Something needs to be changed. It's about communication, but it's about being passionate. It's about making sure they understand, just like I think it clicked with you, that we need more than just 2 guys on the road. We can section them off to different parts of the county if we have more officers, but we have 2. So we get a lot of help from the city of Delphi, their officers. We get the guys in Florida will come and help us, and vice versa. We go to Delphi and help them, we go to Florida and help them as well. But it's about passionate communication. That's what it's gonna take. And I don't even know if that's gonna take it. I was under the impression, I could be wrong, that there was something they could do to lift that levy.
I think at some point, but I'm not sure when, Paul, do you know?
We've got, millions of dollars in rainy day funds and things like that.
And there's the edit
It's not
side.
about raising taxes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's the way we're allocating. But there's only one person in this room that I know of that's ever talked to me about funding the sheriff's department better. Well, there's two. One of them's on stage, and there was one more in the audience. Literally call your commissioners, your councilmen, especially your councilmen, because we're setting budgets this week. Tomorrow morning, we're going back in. There'll be nobody tomorrow morning at the council meeting to come in here. I wish this many people would come into our council meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning and tell us what you want. Tell us what you want about, you said, 2 officers on duty. We need to hear that. We're not hearing that. And I am voting for it, by the way. I'll just tell you. I want more officers on duty, so.
But
Why can't you guys meet like with most people or at home?
That's the first time I've ever been asked that, but I'm okay with that. I can read the meetings. I'm good. I'm open.
Mark, do you want to answer the question over here?
Sure.
A lot of this is manpower issues, I realize that. Tony has said that. I know they're down. Gotta recruit and get those officers in here. If there are funds available, make them available so we can hire more people. It's an officer safety issue, like Becky said. When you have 2 people going to a call, then maybe 3 or 4 because you've got numerous people. You heard him. I can give you his number if you want. I have it. Call him and make that appropriate.
Call my brothers on the council too, please. I'm for it.
And the problem, it is a problem that we only have 2 guys on duty. But the immediate problem, the stuff that I was talking to Paul about, and I'll talk to all of them about it. The problem is that we're gonna lose what we have. We're gonna lose the guys that are trained. We're gonna end up having to have long hiring processes. And I'm being extreme, so take it, but it's gonna be back in the days when there was a sheriff and a deputy working, and those 2 people are gonna be training the new guys, because people are gonna be in the jail working. We can't keep the jailers. It's pretty critical right now.
We have 3 more questions up here. Here's one right here.
Okey-doke.
I actually have 2 questions. Tony, this is for you. So back in 20, you said that you checked on body camera prices. So I'm sitting here and I found all kinds of grants just sitting here. So I'm kind of curious as to why you did that.
My job as a detective, I was asked to look at and get quotes for the sheriff for body cameras. I did what was asked for me, I gave them to the sheriff. That's what I was asked to do.
My second question then is, you just said that you have 2 positions, you're a detective and chief deputy, right? So now you could be doing that, but you haven't done that, so technically, you've got 2 positions, but you only really fulfill one of them. Is that what I
Right.
heard you say?
Yeah, I'm doing detective stuff.
Yeah, you've got 2 positions, but you can only really fulfill one of them.
Correct.
Definitely.
Right? Okay.
Was there a question in there for Mark? Or maybe this person?
I have a question for either of you. Educate me on, the tragedy that happened to 4 young girls in Florida that died of the smoke inhalation. Is the fire department, the sheriff's department, does anybody have the responsibility by law
Okay,
to pay about, inspections? Oh, I'm sorry. Now I hear myself.
there you go.
Okay, okay. All right, regarding the 4 young girls that died in Florida, of smoke inhalation, I have always wondered, is there not a law, is there not an agency that is charged with, inspections for residences or rentals, or, how can there not be some way to prevent something like that? I was told there was no smoke alarms, there was nothing to hang out the window, you know, to go down the ladder. Help me.
Who are you asking? Who are you asking?
Either, both.
That is up to my knowledge, there's no state law that requires anybody to go inspect that. Is it, do I hear the Florida Fire Department, do I hear the Delphi Fire Department doing those things? Absolutely. But to my knowledge, there's nothing law enforcement wise that I know of where we go in and check smoke detectors and things like that. It's education and helping people do it.
And that's just an example of how we as a population seem to be behind the problem. You know, we don't do something until after a problem. And I don't know that we've done anything since that problem. I wish there was something that was in the works. And then I'm going to change subjects on it. Last night I was at the active threat training for the public. They have about 40 chairs set up and a nice microphone and presentation, video presentation, and two gentlemen, Fincher, and Dwight Frost. They did a great presentation. There were 2 people present, myself and a gentleman from IPC. There's another presentation going on right now, same thing, in Florida. So I just want to say, you know, let's wake up. Let's look for what's out there. After there's an incident at one of our schools, we're going to say, oh, we should have had training. Things are offered, but if we don't take it. Don't take the training. We're not doing our job.
Right. Those are even open to the public.
Ma'am, I'm gonna make a question out of that for you. What can the sheriff do to get inspections of rentals, fire inspections, that kind of thing? What can y'all do? Mark, you wanna start?
Community engagement and education. The town of Flora does have ordinances. They don't have a code enforcement officer. So I think Delphi has the same or similar codes in regards to rental units and such. And they do have a code enforcement officer. I think he's part-time. However, much like what I've been doing through my campaign is community engagement. It's education. It's educating people. A lot of that falls on the cities and towns in the county, but I think as the lead law enforcement officer, community engagement, being visible in the communities and educating them on different things of that.
Tony, what do you think?
No, I absolutely agree with him. I think the biggest thing is education. It's like standing here in front of you guys and telling you that we only have 2 officers on duty, and there's always people that say, wow. But it's about reaching out to those people, telling them what's going on, being transparent. Those are things that get people educated. The Florida Fire Department, the Delphi Fire Department, all the fire departments do a good job. They hand out free, free smoke alarms, things to that nature. But it has to be received by the people too.
There's one more question up here, Debbie.
Okay. I can't see it. Oh, there, okay.
It's not really a question, but the communication that you keep talking about here, you have a councilman, I believe, here. I commend you for coming to this great debate. Do I see any other councilmen or commissioners in this audience? Why do we not have our councilmen and commissioners at this debate?
I just have to add, you guys elect these guys. They're elected. And so, you know, you need to make that, well, Tom, you need to make that a point during the election. Okay. Who, what? Lee, okay.
I'm going to give you a scenario and then I'm going to ask you both a question, okay? several months ago, got contacted by a retired West Lafayette police detective. Said he had someone that needed to be checked out that had been brought to his attention regarding the Delphi burglars. Wanted to know if I had anybody I could get a hold of, and I said, sure. I personally contacted the sheriff. He said, I know the guy, and he said, I'll have somebody contact him. 2 weeks later, this West Lafayette detective contacted me back, and he said, nobody's ever contacted me. So I made arrangements for him to meet with a Indiana State Police detective from Peru. How would you handle that? Would you just drop the ball and forget it? Or would you be responsible and send somebody or have somebody contact someone, especially a retired police officer that has somebody in mind that may or may not have been involved in the case?
Who do you want to start that?
Let's start with Mark.
Okay.
That would be handled swiftly. I would have just simply done what is needed to be done. Made contact. If I didn't make contact myself, I would have had someone that I knew was going to do the same as I would, and they would have made contact with that individual that was called in.
Thank you. Tony?
Yeah, same thing. If I was a sheriff and I didn't immediately call him back, I would have a detective or someone that's involved with the case contact him back.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Tom, oh wait, do you have somebody over here? Oh wait, and I had somebody over here.
You can talk loud, I can talk loud.
We did good. Over a 15-year career with the state, I dealt with a lot of city and county agencies, sheriff's departments, police departments, okay? I categorize them in two different ways. One, they were politicians, and two, they were public servants. What do you consider yourselves?
Who do you want that first to go to?
Mark, go ahead.
I'm not a politician. Being an independent is not an easy task, but I have the support that's necessary. I'm a cop's cop. Have always been, always will.
Tony?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not a politician. I'm a public servant. I do that within the clubs that I do on my off-duty time. Yeah, politics is not my thing.
What do you consider the sheriff's position?
As far as,
Is it a politician's position?
unfortunately, because I'm standing here because it is, but it's a for the people thing. It's it's the grassroots, behind the scenes people. It's you, it's everybody.
Mark?
The support that I have here tonight and that I have every day proves that I'm not a politician, because none of them would probably back me if I was a politician, because I can't be true to myself if I'm a politician. I'm here because they want me to be here. This is not fun standing on stage for 3 hours, but I'm here and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna keep the pace as long as I need to.
Okay, because we just extended this to 4 hours.
I need a lunch break.
Water back there. Who
Can I
else?
ask another question?
Yes.
You stated, Mark, that you were going to create a culture of excellence. Can you explain the difference, both of you, between that and the Good Old Boy Network?
Maybe you want to start, please? Oh wait, did you want Mark to start?
Okay, it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Go ahead, Tony.
So I think, you guys all clap on the good old boy thing. There's nobody that wears a blue shirt that has any animosity towards Mark. I feel like I broke the good old boy nonsense. I'm not from here, and my family's not from here. I came here when I was 8 years old, and now I'm standing up here, won the primary for the Republican Party to be the sheriff of Carroll County. I broke that mold. My family's not here helping me. They live clear in southern Indiana. A culture of excellence is getting people to follow you, to do what it takes to make Carroll County safe, and excel at doing it. There's no good old boy. I'm not the good old boy.
So a culture of excellence that I bring up is just that. It is everybody on that department doing the best they can. They have integrity in it. What I mean by integrity is doing the right thing every time, even though nobody's watching. That's what I will create. That's what I'll insist on having every single day. And that's what is a culture of excellence.
Tom?
The meeting she mentioned earlier about the active shooter, that was because of a grant from NIPSCO. NIPSCO covered that cost. I'm wondering if the sheriff-elect will start thinking outside of the financial box instead of always going to the county. How about the emergency management? How about if we have Homeland Security start funding us some of these funds we need to get things going? So we have to think the finances away from our traditional narrow-minded thought of just the county council. So there are other funding sources, and that active shooter class was one of them. We can activate more if we take advantage of the Homeland Security.
Got a question in there, Tom?
Yes, even the sheriff activated financial package that will take the burden off the taxpayer and shift it over to Homeland Security.
Mark, Mr.
Yes, absolutely. For instance, active shooter, that doesn't need to cost anything other than the time that it takes to get the people together to make that training. We train very frequently, and that's training with 130 plus. Doesn't cost us anything but the time it is to be on shift for that day. We didn't have to go through any funding sources to do that. We do that once every couple months. So that's free training that we involve the community in and do, and that's my plan as well. That's something that's needed, it's something that's wanted, and I want to make that happen for everyone.
Tony?
So actually, the sheriff's department budget for training is almost nothing. We already do that. We use other funding for all of our training, and yet we still have great training. So that's been done. Our active shooter stuff has never cost us anything either. Our training budget, I wish I had the number here, but it's almost nothing. We don't get it from the county council. We get it from other funding sources already.
Is he talking about active shooter like at school or at a business, or what are you talking about, active shooter?
They just had a class the other day that she attended. 2 people showed up. They have more classes going on, but probably no one will show up. So I'm saying that the funding for those active shooters did not come from the county council.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that a school thing, at school, I taught Carroll, and we would have active shooters, the teachers would get training through our IT guy, and we would have training there, which we would then pass it on to kids.
Okay.
And I don't know, that might work, that was, we were, that.
Okay, any questions? Yes?
I have one more, since there's only
Can you-
2 officers, if there's an active shooter here, and there's no officers, and one's clear on the other side of the county, are you guys,
When I was working here, I had thought that they had started training teachers to carry. Is that something you guys train teachers to do? Because who's gonna come in here if you guys are clear across the county on a crash, and there starts to be an active shooter here?
To my knowledge, no. That's never been a thing that I've known of. But as for who's gonna come here, the sheriff, the detectives, the off-duty guys, I assure you, everybody's coming. Not just the guy across the county. We're all coming.
And how would it be with your administration, if you were the sheriff? Mark?
Well, that kind of call goes out, people hear that, you are gonna get a response from every law enforcement officer, on duty, off duty, in county, out of county. That's something that we will all come to. I'd like to say something about Dr. Brodar's comment about thinking outside the box. We don't need to reinvent the wheel on some things, especially funding, because the Lafayette Police has created a Lafayette Foundation, a police foundation. Good citizens like you donate to that. It makes our plaques for our 20-year marks, our pins that we buy, things like that. Good people like everyone in here would donate to that to make that stuff happen. We could also use that for training.
Kevin?
Could both of you speak to your experience developing and managing a budget?
Okay. Tony, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I have a business management background, and I owned a small business. The proposed budget for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office next year is 2.2 million, I believe, approximately 2.2 million. Have I done one on that scale? No. Have I sat down with the current sheriff and talked to him and went over line by line what he was doing for next year? I have. And it's numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Traffic reconstruction, crash reconstruction is a lot of numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I believe I got it handled.
Mark?
So the budget, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. There are tweaks that you can make along the way. Not all those work out because I think there was a reappropriation for several $1,000s. The budget is already in place. There will be things that we needed to add. Work the track. I was on the Florida Town Board. We looked over budgets. We approved them. So it's not rocket science.
Yes. Yes.
I'd like your opinions on nonviolent offenders being placed in jail immediately after they're arrested. It seems to me you could probably use your overcrowding situation like that.
Did you hear him? Does he need?
No, you need to say that again, please. But you can sit, you can remain seated, you can sitting. Okay, thank you.
No, I said, I'd like your opinion on nonviolent offenders being placed in jail immediately after their arrest. It seemed to me, if that was handled correctly, it would ease some of your crowding situation.
And by correctly, you mean not so much in jail?
I'm sorry?
By correctly handling it, you mean not so much in jail?
Well, how are they gonna handle it? Do they think they should be placed in there immediately? It seems to me like it's other things to do.
Okay. Mark, start?
What I'm hearing is a nonviolent offender. There's several different categories, but a nonviolent offender is usually a book in, book out type situation. So they don't really spend other than to get a picture or get a court date in the jail.
Yeah, and there are people that don't end up in jail. For instance, marijuana. We just cite and release them. If we pulled you over and you had marijuana on you, you don't end up going to jail. But when you do go to jail, it's the judges that have set the bonds and things like that. So if the judges feel it's a local rule, if the judges feel that it's a nonviolent crime, they're the ones that can make it to where it's just sign in and sign out kind of booking thing. A lot of the community corrections has alleviated a lot of that. They have 66 people that have been, I called them today and asked, 66 people that are in a pre-trial sentence phase. So they've been released to community corrections. They've not necessarily posted a bond, maybe some of them have, but they get released from jail until they go to trial through community corrections, and that's 66 people that don't have to be in jail awaiting trial. So they're working on it.
Who else has a question? Oh, Jack.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
actually several.
Oh,
I probably don't need the mic either.
Yeah.
First thing is, everybody has said,
Yeah.
Okay.
People behind you can't hear you, sorry.
okay, First thing is, it's been said, both of you had said, grants are out there. How, as sheriff, are you going to go about getting those grants? I know, body camera grants. I know, Homeland Security has grants that are available for sheriff's departments, first responders, that type of thing. What are you going to do to go out there and pursue those grants?
Tony?
Once you find those grants, I don't think it's too difficult to file for them. Might be a little bit of legwork, they need some information about the background of the county and what number is this and what number is that. But I don't think it's that difficult to write the grant. They're pre-formatted, you just fill in the blank. So once you find them, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Why hasn't it been done?
How would you find them, Tony?
Well, there's all kinds of websites, people send us stuff currently that says there's this grant, there's this Criminal Justice Institute grant. They tell us.
Yes, those grants are available. I've seen them. There are also people that are in this room that are grant writers for their place of employment. They have some actual experience doing it to make it very, very easy. So there are people that will do that for you quickly.
Okay, Jeff?
Okay, second question I've got for you is, right now, the council is battling to try and have a balanced budget and not raise taxes. How are you, or what is your approach? Do you want to see, Sheriff's Department needs a 20% increase for the deputies, across the board, 20%. But are you willing to say that you need to get that when the other employees of the county maybe only get to see 1 or 2%, if that, to give you your 20%?
And your question is going to
Both of them.
pick one.
Why don't we start with Mark?
Okay, thank you.
So your question is if I would actually promote and be on board with a 20% increase for the deputies. Is that correct?
At the cutting of other county services. And how are you going to justify that to the community if you do it?
The justification would be easy. There is an issue that if we don't get these guys more pay, they might start leaving. It's not might, they will. A county without law enforcement is in bad shape. Now, I say the increase because they're doing a job that other areas are doing, like Florida, Delphi, for less money. They need to be able to provide for their family, make an honest living, and do what they need to do. So if there are other county employees that don't get that raise, they may have to wait a year. Now, 20%, that's a fairly stiff number to actually make happen. We can work on that and make it to where there is like equal ground on that. But I do feel that the deputies do need more pay.
Tony?
Yeah, I agree with him. You have to say, communicate with everybody, not just the council, but they're the ones that decide this, because it's not just the sheriff's department that's in trouble. It is several other departments. It is an EMT. I didn't know this, but I saw they were advertising for a position. An EMT in Carroll County makes $13 an hour or something like that. So there's a lot of big decisions that are gonna have to be made, and whether it's courthouse people getting raises now, whether it's sheriff's deputies getting them now, or EMTs, there's a lot of decisions. I'm glad I'm not on the council.
Okay, one last question for you. I've been at the budget hearings, and I heard today, I think, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, the sheriff came in today and spoke to the council. It was a public meeting, so I feel justified in saying this. He was saying, yeah, we need the money, but then the other statement he made was, depending on the outcome of this election, we're having a mass exodus from the county, from the sheriff's department. Now, that's the comment that got made to the council. I was sitting there when it was made. How would either of you trying to handle that, or prevent it, or whatever? I don't care. Tony, I guess
You
you
mean
start.
prevent a mass exodus,
Try.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
The only thing that's gonna cause people to leave, it's not Mark Pinker. We don't have a problem with Mark Pinker. The thing that's gonna cause people to leave is not it's Delphi City starting off at $9,000 more a year. It's Flora starting off at I don't know the exact number, but it's like $9,000 more a year. 20% that they're talking about, I don't even think gets us to that level. So, there's no.
gets it close.
Let's make this clear, nobody's mass exiting if Mark Pinker wins. If the sheriff said that, you'll have to talk to him, but I'm assuring you, if people leave, it's because they can't pay their bills. And they can no longer protect Carroll County adequately. If we're jailing, we can't protect you. That's why people will leave. It's not Mark Pinker. I get along with Mark Pinker. The guys get along with Mark Pinker. So I don't know. I can't speak for anybody but myself. But nobody's leaving over Mark Pinker.
He just threw his water at you.
I know. I jumped out of the way.
Mark, you wanna?
Do I even need to respond to that?
I don't, do you have a need to respond to
I think
that?
somebody needs to take that up with the sheriff, if that's what it said. I don't know what I
Well-
can say to that. I don't know what matters when I win the election. If they decide to choose to leave, I can't make them stay if that's their decision. But I think pay will help. If pay right now, because I can't speak for the sheriff, but right now they're looking at getting the pay raise. Last year they weren't looking at getting a pay raise. The year before that they weren't looking at getting a pay raise to this extent. Maybe people need to look into that a little bit further. If this is what it took to give these guys more pay, great, I'm succeeding. If this is what it takes to get them body cameras, I'm succeeding.
It doesn't make much sense as to what 20% pay increase, if that's what he's asking, has to do with. I'm still confused what that has to do with Mark Baker.
I'm just saying, that was the comment, that depending on who wins the election, there may.
I will say, he clarified that though, and said it was about the 20% more than it was about anything else. So I don't agree with Chad's interpretation of that, what the sheriff said, because it was asked, are you saying this? And he said, no, I'm not.
Okay, your questions? Everett, there's a microphone for you.
Everett Snowberger. I would look at one of the greatest existential threats to Carroll County is the proliferation of gangs and drugs from the Lafayette and Kokomo area. You know, either one of you as sheriff, what would you do to help stem that? Because the last thing I want to see is our young children, you know, having to be administered Narcan to keep them alive or rushed to the hospital because they've overdosed. So, you know, prevention of the drug problem is a lot easier than the solution after it arises. How would you address that as sheriff?
Mark, you guys.
Those things are here. They're here now. Our number one arrest for last year was alcohol related, and second was methamphetamine. So those things are here. We're having overdoses. Again, with 2 officers. Would love to have dedicated people to be on a drug task force.